Hi, everybody. Welcome to the dialogue. This is season 2, episode number 2. We're talking to Guru Yogi Shivan. And I'm going to just tag him as well as Indimasi Healing Village. And we are discussing yoga. In this season, we're basically going ahead and we're discussing yoga. And last week or the last episode, we discussed how we view yoga as just an exercise. And Guruji explained to us that exercise is very different, and the purpose of exercise, hi Vanchika, and the purpose of exercise is very different, and how yoga was really that practice which kind of gives us our inner truth and the true feeling of Aham Brahmasmi. So here I am, just freshly arrived into India, the same time zone as Guruji. Literally, this is my second hour here in the country, and we are going to wait for Guruji to come ahead. But I also wanted to ask you guys that if you have any questions today from the last time, or anything that you want to understand about yoga and yoga philosophy, and I don't mean asana, I mean anything to do with Kundalini, Tantra, bring it on. Because we want to cover all the different aspects of what true yoga really means. And while we have Guruji here, I want to be able to get all of those answers. So I know Guruji is online, and I see him, he's joined. So I think very soon he'll be sending us a request here. Here it is. Okay, I have Guruji.
Namaste.
Pranam, Guruji. How are you doing?
Yeah, doing very well. Thank you. How are things?
Things are very well, Guruji. I just arrived into Mumbai today.
So now you are from Mumbai.
Just got in, Guruji, this afternoon. I
Good,
got
good. Right.
to Mumbai. And I just kind of wanted to just talk a little bit about what we discussed last time when we went into the Ashtanga yoga and how exercise is different, yoga is different. And Guruji was, he explained Ashtanga yoga very, very beautifully to us last time. The yama niyama asana pranayama, and how the ayama, the stretching of the breath, really, what that does for you, and how you make the inner world more real than the outer world. So Guruji, we wanted to take some other concepts of yoga and really understand them and break them down. But we have a question that's there, right, Guruji? It's a little technical question, but I think it's an important one. Where, when we just talk about asana practice, and a lot of people, for the first time, they experience this combination of breath and movement is through asana. That's just the reality of that. In the Western world, people who know nothing about the inner world, but when they get on their mat, when they get on the yoga mat and they combine the breath and the movement, they discover something which is unique. They get disconnected from the outside. There's a little bit of chittavritti nirodha that does happen. So anyways, that becomes an important part. But somebody is asking, is there a best time of the day to practice yoga?
Yes. The best time is early morning.
So can we talk about that a little bit, Guruji? Can we talk about Brahma Muhurat and what it really means, and if we should practice yoga then?
No need to just think more about Brahma Muhurta.
You know
For
me,
a,
Guruji. You know me. I will think, but I will try not to think.
for a sadhaka, serious sadhaka, every moment is Brahma Muhurta. Brahma is the ultimate reality. If you can connect your mind with the ultimate reality, you are one with that reality. So that means the time, you will go beyond the concept of time, and you will transform yourself into Brahma. That is technically called Brahmachari or Brahmana. So if you are sincere enough to practice, all time is Brahma Muhurta. But for an ordinary person, after early morning, after from the bed, mind is so clean because it's rejuvenated because of a good sleep, and the stomach is empty.
Mm-hmm.
Then you get into practice, your mind will be totally focused, or it is easy to make a union between mind and body, which is the ultimate goal of yoga. Whenever we try, either afternoon or evening, when we try to do some asanas, mind is having the the collection of thoughts. The whole day, it was engaged with millions of thoughts, deeds. Then, as an after effect, it will be slightly lousy. That is why. But the best time is early morning. If you ask me what is the second choice is evening. It's called Usha Sandhya and Sayam Sandhya.
Mm-hmm.
From nature also we will get a benefit of doing early morning and evening. Sandhya means joining point.
Mm-hmm.
So morning sun is taking over the power, the duty from moon.
Right.
That is the joining point, Sandhya. Evening, sun is leaving the power, leaving the duty, and sun is taking over. Sorry, moon is taking over. So this joining point is called morning and evening, Usha Sandhya and Sayam Sandhya. So almost all temples you can see Usha Puja and Sandhya Puja. So practice is advised early in the morning. And as an exercise, some people find more, comfort doing in the evening.
Okay, Guruji. I thought there was an important practical question, so I took it upon. I'm going to see if there's any more questions, Guruji, before we begin our discussion, because I offered for people to ask. Aarti, I've seen your question, but I'm not sure if Guruji would want to take this question. Guruji, I'm just going to ask you the question anyway, that somebody says, please expound a little bit upon Maharishi Patanjali. There is so much talk of Maharishi Patanjali in the world. That's that's a question. I think if you think it's an appropriate question to take, Guruji, let's take that question.
Okay, question once again.
To talk about Maharishi Patanjali.
Maharshi Patanjali.
Yeah.
Okay. So he is the founder of Ashtanga Yoga as far as our historical studies are concerned. His text is Yoga Sutra or Patanjali Yoga Sutra. Up to that moment, up to his time, I think this art might have been kept as Shrutis, not written. Verbally, it's like spread. So its generations, it might have, transferred that knowledge, that branch of science. And mostly, Patanjali Yoga Sutra, if you see, there is nothing to learn. It's only for practice. Theory is only an explanation, and the practical experience has nothing to do with the explanation. If you go ahead with the real practice, sometimes you need some clarifications as reference from our ancestors. For that, Patanjali Yoga Sutra is okay. And to get a serious start, that's good. Like a yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, samadhi. So this is like 8 sections, 8 limbs are clearly explained, and you can have a safe advancement if you seriously follow its instruction. But there are many Patanjalis in our Siddha tradition, and nobody knows who has written this. Same way, Veda Vyasa. Some people are saying that Vyasa means like a expansion of the diameter. In Sanskrit or technically in mathematics, Vyasa means diameter. So if you take one point, it has a diameter. When you expand the point, you will get a circle, the diameter of the circle. You expand it infinitely, then you will get the cosmos. So you shrink it back, you will get the point. So that is what is called a micro and macro. So your mind can be brought back into a point. From there, you can expand to the universe. So The person who understood that contraction and expansion, involution and evolution, is called Vyasa. So who is Vyasa then? Anybody who is experiencing this expansion and contraction of the universe is called Vyasa. Same way, Patanjali also is a name who could, explain few things in a technical way. That is why. And it is not worth digging the past of our masters. The best way, what have they said? Understand in its real sense and bring it into our daily practice. Explore and experience without faith. There, yoga will give you immortality. You can start from the matter level, then slowly from body, you will go to mind. From mind, you can go to the Chaitanyam, energy, the ultimate reality, which we are evolved from. That is a practice of yoga. Unless we reach that level, actually, we have no right to claim that we know yoga. We have to say, I'm practicing yoga to reach that level. The moment you reach that level, no question will be remaining that person unanswered.
Makes sense, Guruji. So what Guruji said is, Patanjali was just one of the many who had experienced this truth, the ability, the understanding the micro and the macro, to be able to go inside to understand what's outside and just understand that whole connection. And that is really the practice of yoga, is understand, this whole micro, macro, this Maya that we live in. And anybody who understands that basically becomes Vedavyasa. We have all of these different shastras, and we think they were all kind of created by different sages or different figures. But the truth is, anybody who knows that true knowledge knows all of this. It's that point of keval jnana, that just complete knowledge of the world. And when he talks about shrutis and smritis, I just want to clarify for anybody who's listening, is that before that it was just a knowledge that was known. It was never written and documented. And probably Patanjali might have been the first person who documented it, as we know Maharishi Patanjali to be. But the experience was it was experienced by many others, and you and me can also experience it. Of course, Guruji is much further in his practice, but anybody who's listening, we also have the power to experience it through this journey, to get on that journey. And unless we truly experience it, we are not really down that path of yoga. Yes, we are on the journey, but that is really what the journey is about. It's not about following the textbook and doing 20 pranayams. The pranayams are a side effect of the practice. It's not the practice of the pranayam that's going to take you there. Right, Guruji?
Yes.
You meet the pranayams along the way. They just,
Now I am happy that you are also really, finding difficulty to explain what yoga is, or you are finding difficulty to frame a question about yoga. There, you are slowly reaching to the target.
That it's such
when you are smart enough to frame questions about yoga, you are really intellectual. A yogi is not at all intellectual. Yogi is intuitive. So from the intellectual level, from the brain, slowly our attention will be taken back to the pranic level, the instinctive level. There we will start appreciating our silence, mauna. So union will start taking place. Then when it gets the real maturity, the union get real maturity, it will slowly dissolve back into Hiranyagarbha, the depth of the heart. There it will become a vibration, spandana. Spandana is a simple vibration. So you will experience your whole existence as a small vibration. Hridaya spandam or spandana. that you will start experiencing and enjoying that ecstasy within. There you have no questions about your existence. You have no questions about your past, present, and future, because everything is beyond interrogation. Brain has nothing to do in that situation. We obliterated the boundaries of thoughts or mind. There we will find difficulty to frame questions. I'm so happy seeing that struggle.
No, it's great, Guruji. I completely understand what you're saying. I cannot say I completely understand, but I see what you're saying. And Guruji's been telling me this, and yet, Guruji, my intellectual mind will get on the way, will get in the way, and will want to formulate. Like right now, already, today I was,
Good
my goal
question. Yeah,
was
good.
that Pingla because I've been curious about it forever. So Guruji, I have to seek and then I will give up. Right? Just how yoga, first I asked my questions only to come to the realization that it's not intellectual, it's instinctive.
Yeah.
Similarly, there are some other lingering questions. I know I will ask them. You may or may not answer them, but I will still ask them. And then when I understand that through my intellect only my comprehension is limited, then we will be able to really enjoy the intuition. But I want to say one thing about what one of the biggest teachings. I mean, when I talk to Guruji, I realize how much of his teachings have influenced my life deeply and tremendously. But one of the things Guruji's talked about in his all his sessions is instinct over intellect.
Mm.
And Guruji, so much it has changed my life. I must tell you that, Guruji, that being more instinctive and just this intellect, so much drama. The intellect creates so much drama, so much analysis paralysis. Just to drop it in the ocean, just to let it go, opens up the whole ocean to you. And I want to just give one quick example to everybody who's listening, and we move on to our question answer. So, Guruji also taught a breath. Guruji taught us the archana, breathing. And for me, that archana became just like breathing in the back of my head. And whenever I want to tap into my intuition, just forget this intellect, I start doing that breath. So I just want to say that I was playing this game with my daughter, and she was so fast. It was a game of spotting objects. It's called Spotted, and she was like, quick, 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 and I was losing. Only 9 years old. So I said, I have to win. And then I just said, okay, I did that breath and I said, whatever I need to see will just happen. So it was not seeing through these eyes. It's very funny. It was not seeing through through the karmendriya. It was seen through the jnanendriya. It was another kind of knowing. And then the whole game changes. The whole performance of everything changes in life when you don't just rely upon your senses and you rely upon a deeper instinct to do things. So I just wanted to share that as a very little example of that greater experience. But now, Guruji, there's one more question when Nidhi Mathur says, oh, Nidhi, we cannot take this question now, but we'll take this question in the third season. It's not related to yoga. I'm just taking questions related to yoga. Okay, so Guruji, with that, again begins my intellectual curiosity. I want to start, Guruji, by talking about the three main nadis. We can talk about what nadis are in general, but I do want to talk about the Ida and the Pingala. What are they for a basic, for somebody who's never heard Ida and Pingala before? What are they? Right? So we'll learn about it, then we'll forget about it, Guruji. We'll let it dissolve. But I want to ask these questions. So can we, Guruji?
Its Ida Nadi is representing the moon energy in our system. Pingala Nadi is representing sun energy. Like Earth is being balanced and it is rotating with a magnetic force. One side sun is there, other side moon is there. It's like as if we keep one metal piece on a floor and keep two magnets on both sides and move the magnets. According to that movement, that middle part also, the middle object also will start moving. Same way, Earth is rotating its own orbit. It's rotating itself and rotating the sun without any clash with other planets. The same molecular arrangement is happening in our system also. This is why people say the micro and the macro are same. Vyashti and samashti are same. In our system, the solar and lunar nadis, Ida and Pingala, they are working like two energy sources of our electricity. We have neutral and phase. If you compare that, neutral is moon, phase is sun. Once it connects to an equipment, it will perform. You remove that connection or switch off. Disconnect one wire, the equipment will stop functioning. In this room also, the light is there, fan, AC, music system, everything is there. But the supply is coming through two wires, neutral and phase. And it makes all instruments on. And if I am tired of managing all these instruments, I want to know how the light is functioning. Light is shining, or how the fan is working. I want to know the technology of fan. If I try to open the rotating fan, it may hurt me. So if I want to see what is inside the fan, first I should disconnect the power supply. Then it will be, the function will be arrested. Then I can open it and find out what is inside. Same way, in our body, in the coccyx area, we can say Mooladhara. From coccyx, two wires are extending towards the brain. One is solar, other one is lunar. Pingala and Ida. That two wires are interchanging each other, interconnecting each other, and reaching to the head area. Especially it's called Netra Sira, means the both temple area. Then from there it is distributed to eyes, nose, ears, tongue, and skin. That is why we have 5 organs are activated, 5 equipments are functioning, as according to our modern language. So the same energy is making eyes to get visions, nose for smell, tongue for taste, skin for touch, and ear for hearing. Correct? So long as these 2 wires are active, connected to 5 organs, we are engaged into sensory perceptions. You cannot count how many. It's countless perceptions, countless thoughts, or countless informations are collected in the memory storage, which usually we say mind. But mind has different dimensions. Chitta, Antakarana, many things are there. But these are all technical. If you want to complicate yoga, then you can go with Vedic language. Vedic language means the knowledge which can be conveyed through words, Veda, through word. But if you want to be a real practitioner, if you want to experience the truth, you should go back to Siddha. Siddha means experienced. That experience cannot be conveyed. That is only Anubhava. Anubhava means feeling. So, solar and lunar nadis are positive and negative, but they evolved from one central canal called Sushumna, spinal cord. If allow these nadis to associate with these 5 equipments, 5 organs, Panchendriyas, you are completely entangled into material plane of consciousness. Matter is supreme for that person. He is material only. But if we try to take these 2 wires, as if we disconnect from our main meter, electric supply area, take positive and negative out from all equipments, then everything will be put off. If you want to open the bulb, you can see the filament inside because it's not functioning. If you want to open the fan, you know the motor, everything, you can find out, oh, this is the mechanism. Same way, we are completely entangled into these organs the functions of these organs. And we don't know how eye is getting the vision. We don't know why brain is bringing these thoughts, because the machine is continuously on. Disconnection of that process is called withdrawal, pratyahara, the fifth level of Ashtanga Yoga. After withdrawing that, if we make a union between these two wires, positive and negative, try to touch each other, there will be a spark, and there will be a spark means sound and light will come together. That time, the source of the energy will be seen. Transformer may be exploded, or the power station will catch fire. If that is the technology of energy manifestation, we can use the same technology in our body machine. Through practice, you can disconnect these two wires and bring it to the center. Pranam manodvayamidam vilayam nedyu moksham sagachadi. That means pranapaneur granthi. Prana is solar, apana is lunar. Make a union. Then in between the vibros, it's called Brahmatya, there will be a spark. Light and sound will come together. Immediately, the source of that energy, prana, will be revealed in front of you. That is what is called revelation. Then that will be an experience. So far, nobody has explained what that experience is. Many people said, like it will be something like thousands and thousands of suns are rising together. That kind of light you may feel. Or millions of, like stones are coming together. You may feel like that. So people were explaining something just for our imagination, but it has nothing to do with the real experience. So the infinity cannot be explained through the finite senses. That we should understand. The moment we understand that fact, we will stop ourselves the effort of trying or effort of understanding the infinity through the finite senses. That giving up, the tendency to give up the effort of bringing the infinity into the finite senses, called renunciation, tyaga. The moment you renounce these kind of efforts, you will be settled within. That is what is called tyagi, will be slowly converting into a yogic state of consciousness. So these are the basic explanation of solar lunar energy. Once it is connected, there can be another activation, Agni Nadi, but no need to explain, that is the experience. Agni means fire. Fire is the reality. Tapa, heat, temperature is the reality of all existence. Okay?
You have taken us very nicely into what we are going to discuss, which is Tapa. But Guruji, you know me, I'm going to have to summarize this. It's important for me. And so I asked Guruji what Ida and Pingla, because I have always been curious about it, and we are going to go into Tapa either today or the next turn, if I have, because there are more follow-up questions. But basically, there are these two energies. The Ida is dominated, which is the lunar energy in the left nostril, so as to say, this side of the body, and the Pingala, which is the solar, is on the right side of the nostril. But the goal is, right? So the goal is that we have an electric source in our body, and right in the coccyx, that base chakra, Muladhar, that's where the electricity, that powerful charge exists. Now that is like the main transformer, the main circuit board. And through that circuit board, we can power ourselves, and we can choose to power ourselves to engage in the world, right? Because there is one electric source. Or we can choose to power ourselves to know the real power inside. Now, as Guruji says, right? Without experience, this is hard for us to understand. But just technically, the way it's explained is that this is at the base of the spine, and this solar and lunar, because you need both of them, they kind of intertwine, and they come somewhere, and they kind of give the electricity to our five senses. So our five senses are engaged in the world. They can do their tasks in the world. But as Guruji explained last time, at the stage of pratyahara, when you're able to disconnect your five senses and really use that electric power within, and you literally disconnect it from all the other electric sources. So all the other five senses you disconnect, and they meet each other. Then there's another kind, there's an electric blast, almost like a whole blast that happens. And that's the tapa that Guruji is talking about. You just, everything is left, this whole illusion is kind of broken through that heat, through that tapas. And it's an electrocution. It's, electrocution of everything that's matter, and all that's left is that experience. But yet, Guruji, yet, I want to understand. In Sansar, Guruji, what I want to understand is, right, we're talking about Moksha Marga. But in Sansar, what is the role of the solar and the lunar, right? Guruji, there's a lot of talk about lunar energies support these functions and the solar energy support those functions. And they both, while you're using this electric source to power your life in the Sansar, can you give a little bit of what this does, the dominance, the purpose of the Ida and the Pingala independently?
Again, when we try to explain the physical dimensions of this solar and lunar energy, it is too complicated and it will drag us away from the reality. But generally, like if you go through the fundamental science of existence, there we can see if something is heated, any substance, you take an ice cube, it has a shape, it's solid one. But you increase the heat, it will lose its that solid shape, it will become water. You heat it further, then it will lose that shape also or that state, and it will become like shapeless. So anything which is cold will attain a shape. In Sanskrit, rupa. Anything which is losing its shape, it's called arupa. If you want to lose the shape, it should be heated. This is called suryana. If you promote the heat, or if you entertain the heat, or if you follow the path of sun, you will lose your shape. Rupa will be lost. You will become shapeless. That means your range will be more. So 1 cubic centimeter ice, if it is heated, it will be spread to a more area to form the water. You heat it up, then it will occupy more larger area to be in the vapor state. Heat it further, then it will occupy large area. This is called sarva vyapi. Vyapi means expansion and covering more areas. That is what is called the path towards light. Technically, that is what is called enlightenment. The heat and light will be evolved from within. Technically, it's called Surya Yana. Yana means journey. Journey towards Arupa, infinity, no shape. But from the infinity, if it is getting cooled, the energy is getting cooled, it will attain shape. So, from unmodified state of energy, it will condense to form electromagnetic radiation. From electromagnetic radiation, again it will be condensed to form light. Then from the light, again light will be condensed to form sound. Again sound will be condensed to form matter. So the gap between the state or the plane between the arupa and rupa is called supramental body. You can see in modern technical language now. Extra physical domain. We can see that. From that extra physical domain, the matter is evolved. So the cooling process of the universe is, or cooling process upon Earth is managed by moon.
Moon.
The heating process managed by sun. Sun is Arupa, moon is Swarupa. That is why you can see everything connected to creation is going to moon. Like the menstrual cycle for ladies, the gap between two menstrual cycle is 28 days. For a healthy lady, within 28 days, her cycle will be on. Why 28? Why couldn't be 20 or 50 or 90? Why specific 28? Because
Moon.
moon will take 28 days to complete a circle around Earth. Kujendu Hedu. Pradimas Arthavam. Arthavam means cycle. Cycle. It is connected to moon, according to Ayurveda. In our body, everything is which is having a molecular function that is linked to moon. If you go to a mental asylum, full moon day, most of the people will be disturbed. New moon day, you just go there. Most of them will be silent. Why? Because moon has a significant influence on our mind. That is why usually people say he is lunatic, or that center is called a lunatic asylum. A person who is asthmatic, full moon day, new moon day, eclipse time, this will be aggravated. Why? Because the influence is applied on everybody, but since we are not very sensitive, healthy people are not very sensitive, it is not visible, but the function is happening. People who are very sensitive will be affected externally. It can be noticed. That is the difference. So what I'm saying is, everything connected to shapeless energy is controlled by sun, and everything which is having a particular shape, nama, rupa, shape and name, controlled by moon. Then if you ask again, moon, earth energy can be dissolved in moon, moon energy can be dissolved in sun energy can be dissolved in some kind of unmodified state of energy. That is what is called Brahma in Sanskrit. The moment you understand, or the moment you reach that plane of consciousness, you are Brahma Jnani, the person who experienced that ultimate energy. That is what is clearly stated in our Upanishads, very old Upanishad, Kadho Upanishad, Indriyebhya Parahyartha, Arthepecha Param Mana, Manasastu Para Bhuti, Uderatma Mahanpara, Mahadaparam Avyektam, Avyekta Purushapara. What does it mean? Start your journey from the matter, from the Rupa, go to Arupa, then from Rupa to Arupa, Arupa to the primary state, the primordial state, from primordial state to unmodified state of energy, Avyektam. Then beyond that, there is something which cannot be comprehended. You reach there and you are liberated.
Perfect. You answered my question, Guruji. What I wanted to know, I know. I got the answer. I'm going to summarize that. It's actually a very beautiful understanding. What really woke up in my mind was, okay, the left side, which is to do with the lunar side, has to do everything with creation, the journey from unmanifest to manifest, right? So it is the creative. Also, at the same time, I want us to know that the left side is related to the right brain function, which is the more creative function. And Guruji, it's amazing that when they start, now the scientists have just discovered this in the last 100 years, but the Shastra said this, right? Because it goes, the Ida goes and it goes that way. The direction is that way up here, and the Pingla is this way. Sorry, I'm getting technical. So how this supplies the right side of the brain, right? Everything left supplies the right side of the brain, and that has to do with creation. But anyways, the left side, or the lunar, has to do everything from unmanifest to manifest. And the right side is the solar, which is that journey towards the unmanifest. When you apply heat, matter, the more heat you apply, the less matter you have. Like he said, it evaporates, it dissolves. And that process of dissolution has to do with that solar nadi. But when both of them unite, the lunar and the solar, there's another kind of transcendence that can happen. And that Guruji said something to do with Agni, and I'm going to ask him, what then happens, Guruji, when the lunar and the solar, so if the lunar has to do with unmanifest to manifest, the solar has to do with the reverse, manifest to unmanifest. When both of them work together, what happens then?
Both of them work together with equal importance. Your organs will be activated. You are established, or you are entangled into sensory planes of experience. Technically, it is called illusion, Maya. So, something which is against the reality. So now we are discussing everything about illusion. And we need a clarification about illusion. Sitting on illusion, talking about illusion, we need a clarification on illusion. So what kind of yoga is this? This is what I told you from very
Guruji,
beginning.
I'm using this as a reference. My questions, like you said, when you're going through your journey and you have confusions, you're allowed to ask questions for reference. That's what I'm doing, Guruji.
You are allowed to ask questions, and I have the right to give yogic answers also. Yogic answers are
Guruji.
coming from the silence experience in the ultimate silence. It's called Mauna Bhasha. Bhasha is language. Mauna means silence. That is the language of silence. The moment we start getting answers from our deep silence, that is what is called yoga. Otherwise, if we keep asking questions and trying to find answers, like, scientists found one nerve which is passing through right and it is going through the left. These are all intellectual exercise. It's called bhoga. It's not yoga. So we are entertaining our senses to get more clarifications based on sensory perceptions, more moving away from the reality. That is why it's like the turtle. Master has very clearly stated many places. A yogi is like a turtle. How the turtle is withdrawing its limbs and sitting idle, being idle. Same way, yogi must be able to withdraw the sensory perceptions or sensory activities and fix it somewhere. That is what is called pratyahara and dharana. Pratyahara means withdrawal of the senses, thoughts. Then dharana means fix it, either in an object or a subject. Then only the union will take place. Union between solar and lunar nadi. Surya Chandra Masuraikyam Hatha Ityabhidiyade. That is what is called Hatha Yoga. From Hatha Yoga, gradually we can raise ourselves into Raja Yoga. That is the path experience. Otherwise, the other one is the path of discussion. That is what is called, technically, it is said Jnana Yoga. Jnana Yoga is the language of like sense organs. So we can talk, we can think, we can write, can argue. So everything is based on the organs. But senses will not give you the answer about the infinity.
I hear you, Guruji. I hear you. Guruji is saying that this all happens, the answers come through abhyasa, the mauna. This kind
Yes.
of questioning is actually making, if yoga is the silent journey within, to know the
Hmm.
within, the very concept of questioning is in the opposite direction.
Yes.
So that's why we used to do this once a week. Now, Guruji, I'm asking less questions. We're doing this once in 2 weeks.
No, this is only for an introduction.
Absolutely. No,
So,
Guruji, I'm going to say it has made a big difference, right, Guruji? Because you don't go into extremely technical definitions and you keep reminding us of the path. There is always a reminder to find that silence within. So,
suppose
Guruji,
your suppose your
sorry.
child your child has a disease. Suppose she is having high fever. Okay, you know very well that there is a medicine should be taken. Instead of giving the medicine, will you start explaining the technicality or the scientific background of the medicine? You keep explaining how the medicine is produced, what is the history of that, when it consumed, how it will function in the body. Will you be explaining everything, or you are simply giving an explanation that initial awareness that, baby, come. Okay, you have this temperature, that is your limitation, it is going to be dangerous. Okay, this is the medicine for you. Then child may ask, okay, why should I take that? Come on, now you take it. Then you just see how the temperature is going down. Observe yourself. So this is what I'm also doing. Instead of consuming the medicine, instead of entering into the practice, says now the world is like this. It's like a Western influenced education. Everything is externally monitored. It's called reductionist science. Go outside, get into the minute particles. But this had done thousands of years ago, and they came to know that it has no end. In the real text, it is called anavastha dosham. Like, just for example, when before microscopes invention, people didn't know. I mean, the modern scientists didn't know about something like a bacteria. Okay, after they invented the microscope, they saw one thing is there which is this is the revolution in science because we found the guy who is creating all problems. Something till that moment was like nothing. Nobody knew something was there, and immediately through the microscope they saw a living being, an insect or a microbe. So after 1 year, the next model of the microscope was introduced.
Different,
Instead
yeah.
of instead of multiplying 10 times, the other one, the new version is multiplying 20 times.
Yeah.
That same bacteria, they looked through the new microscope, they saw a body which was having body, one horn and one tail, 2 legs. Now with this new one, they saw 2 horns, 2 legs, 2 tails, or 4 legs. Then next year, another version came. Then they saw the same guy, same bacteria with different. Now the question is, which is the real shape of the bacteria? As the device changes, the shape also manifested form also changing. And never we are getting the real shape of that, whether it is micro level or macro level. Because we are finally, end of the day, we are depending on eyes. So it can be multiplied, but the organ is eyes only. So eyes are having its own limitation, and it is connected to the visions or the hearing or smell. Everything is connected to the neuronal changes in the brain. The neurons are being completely depending on hormones. So as the hormone changes,
Absolutely.
the sensory perceptions will change. This is what Master said from the very beginning. Learn to control the hormonal changes within the body. Then your perceptions will change, your experience will change, and one day you will come to know how significant the function of hormones.
We have many important topics to discuss, Guruji. We have tapa, we have hormones in the next few lessons, or at least in the next season. Because this season we're going to touch upon a lot of yoga concepts. We have to touch upon
Okay.
Kundalini and Tantra, and then we're going to go into the most powerful concepts is the body chemistry, the hormones. That's
Yes.
all that this is about is body chemistry,
That is why
and we talk.
I am also very, very interested to share my knowledge with you because you just touch the technical sides, technical levels of each and every section of yoga. That's good. Then only we can see the significance and insignificance of the practice. It should
Absolutely.
be like this. Then only people will get a clear idea through which how they can reach the target.
So, anybody who's listening, the goal is not to entangle everybody in this jargon, as Guruji is saying, as not to make this an intellectual exercise. The goal of this is to say, hey, we are curious, we've heard all of these terms, we're going to touch upon all of this, understanding that at the end, all this is that abhyasa is moving towards the experience. We are not getting into this to get entangled into the technicality. It's to get away from the technicality, right?
Yes.
And while our intellectual curious brains, especially mine, is just asking all these things, it's to move away inward. Like Guruji says that every time you bring a new lens to a substance, you see something different because
Yes.
you're using an external lens to see it. You're using the intellectual lens to see it. But there's when you just sit in that silence and you become witnessing of the reality within, where there is not multiple lenses, it's just through your own silence. When you can do that, that's when that's when something else emerges, a bigger truth emerges, which does not look
Yes.
different with each lens. Otherwise, we talk to Guruji today and one lens emerges. We talk to another person and another lens emerges. And, he does not want us to get confused in all of that. So, with that, for today's session, Guruji, I'm not going to start a new topic because I think what we said was very powerful. But the next session, we will come back we'll touch upon more elements. And everybody who's listening, stay tuned because one of the most important things we're going to talk about is that body chemistry and how just the regulation of your body chemistry, it's just that is the magical game. And while Guruji has touched upon this in many lectures, I wanted to do in a more organized fashion so everybody can take advantage of it. Makes sense,
Yes.
Guruji? Makes sense?
Yes, definitely. Definitely. This is the way we should advance and let everybody involved in this talk. And uh, we have to guide them to the thought process through which they can guide themselves back to the core of their experience. Unless we guide the listeners, the seekers, to that destination, that is not yoga.
And for this week, Guruji, just as work, right? I want us to like take back something every week to practice upon.
Mm.
And I will save this video. So for this week, right, let us all just not go reading more, exploring more outside. As Guruji said, let's try and find that instinct, that silence within for this week. Let's make a better effort till we can meet again in a couple of weeks to create that silence within us, to see what that curiosity brings rather than going and exploring. Rather than research, we be curious. The opposite of research is internal research, is curiosity.
Do the preparation, or at least tell yourself that at least 10 to 15 minutes I will sit on floor with a cross leg, or in Bhadrasana. I highly recommend Bhadrasana. Facing east or north, sit on floor for 1 or 2 weeks. You prepare yourself like this, and we will, exchange ideas like this. You can put your own questions. I will give you answers based on my experience. Why I stick on my experience? Unless you experience the reality, this is a vain effort. There's no use. I can assure you that if you go through the right path, all questions will be answered from within. And it is not necessary to look for either a guru or a book. Yes, we have to look for a guru and a book. Why? To get an introduction and advance into the safe journey. Once you get the right start, then nature will take over. Then definitely you will experience exactly what you're looking for.
I think everybody listening, I cannot even tell you how much this path has made a difference to me. The amount of faith I have been able to generate talking to Guruji in my own knowledge, in my own instinct is tremendous, and it's been totally life changing. So let's take this. Let's find those 10-15 minutes to sit in silence in Bhadrasana, butterfly pose, or cross legged, making a pyramid out of our body with our spine erect without back support, and see where it takes us in a couple of weeks in that silence. And then we will see you again. Guruji, pranam, namaste, and
All
I will
right.
see you again in 2 weeks.
Pranam to everybody.
Pranam,
See you
Guruji.
next time. Thank
Pranam.
you.
Bye.